Hoenn did not create 3 starters by chance. It shaped 3 distinct strategies for survival. On the heated plains, where the soil exhales warmth as though the planet itself were breathing, lives Torchic. Orphaned, with no one to teach him, he acts on instinct. He drinks the water that gathers on leaves before it evaporates, and seeks rising vapors to preserve his body heat. Within him lies a small biological miracle, a flame sac in his belly, where fire remains lit for as long as life endures. His softness deceives the eye. To survive, he does whatever is necessary. He seeks easy nourishment, forms small fireballs within his stomach, and expels them, a reflex born of a body that demands energy. When food and water grow scarce, Torchic understands. It is time to migrate. In unfamiliar lands across Hoenn, each step may be the last. The ground burns, the horizon stretches endlessly. Yet Hoenn also forges unlikely alliances. Along volcanic slopes, a giant moves with deliberate steps, Camerupt. His body is a living reservoir of magma, constant heat, heavy strides, unwavering resilience against hostile terrain. For a migrating Torchic, drawing near a Camerupt is not madness, it is strategy. Along the path, he teaches him to recognize new sources of nourishment. Camerupt does not see a threat in the small yellow figure. In these solitary lands, he sees companionship. When they finally reach safer ground, the fortress that guided him lies down to rest. And within Torchic, something shifts. Combusken is born. On the other side of Hoenn, among murky waters and submerged roots where everything appears still, lives Mudkip. The fin atop his head is not merely form, it is function. A sensitive radar capable of reading vibrations in water and air, allowing him to sense his surroundings without relying on sight. This ability is essential to his survival. In his earliest days, he spends most of his time hidden. Mudkip's life is not an adventure, it is endurance. When he feels alone and secure, he slips into the swamp in search of food and quickly returns to cover. Often, Mudkip conceals his entire body beneath the water's surface. Without a Swampert nearby, young Mudkip are easy prey. Gradually, confidence replaces hesitation. He learns to move with agility through the marsh. He trains with what the swamp provides. He trains in silence. Lifting pebbles twice his size, little by little, he grows stronger. He strengthens his jaw as well, crushing stones larger than himself, preparing for a world that will not show mercy. And when he grows strong enough to leave his refuge, something changes within him. Marshtomp emerges. High in the crown of a colossal tree, we find Treecko. The secret lies in his feet. Tiny hooks within the pads allow him to cling to nearly smooth surfaces without hesitation. He senses humidity through his skin and reads the air with his tail, anticipating changes long before they arrive. When he descends, predators often cross his path, but his speed and his mastery of the canopy carry him clear of danger. Versatile, resilient, a quiet survivor of the forest heights. And when the moment comes, Treecko evolves into Grovyle. Back to Combusken. He no longer follows. He gives thanks to the companion who guided him and walks his own path in search of experience. Disciplined, at first light each morning, Combusken begins his warm-up. The training is relentless, sprinting across fields and mountains, strengthening thighs and legs until speed and power become indistinguishable. The result is almost unbelievable. 10 kicks in a single second. Driven by an insatiable will to test himself, Combusken challenges passing opponents to gain experience. He pushes himself to the limit, evades powerful strikes, and sharpens his primary attacks. And when the opening appears, he ends the fight without hesitation. After each session, Combusken searches for food. As before, his diet relies on berries and unwary Nincada. When he grows strong enough, when the flame within him burns higher than ever, the culmination arrives. Blaziken emerges. Blaziken is Hoenn distilled into form. Heat, momentum, and unyielding resolve. Back to Marshtomp. His body develops an essential adaptation. A thin, adhesive film coats his skin, allowing him to live on land without losing his bond to moisture. His legs are sturdy and sure-footed. Marshtomp can often be seen playing in the coastal mud, when the entire shoreline becomes a viscous training ground. Despite his cheerful, gentle appearance, do not be deceived. He is a skilled fighter and deeply territorial. As storms approach and waters rise, he senses the change before it arrives. He guides the small ones towards safer shelter. It is common for Marshtomp to take in lost Mudkip and offer them protection. And when few threats remain in these wetlands, when his strength is undeniable, the final guardian emerges. Swampert, the king of the marsh, Hoenn's waters incarnate. Back to Grovyle. His life has grown more dynamic. The forest gains a green phantom. In the canopy, his speed is unmatched. He ascends, descends, and moves as though he commands the jungle itself. When a stronger Pokémon encroaches upon another's territory, Grovyle often intervenes. Order is restored through presence and precision. In such encounters, a rival may become a training partner, forging bonds that repeat battle after battle. A forest without Sceptile is never entirely secure. And so Grovyle trains without rest, preparing to evolve and to protect. And when the moment arrives, as though sprouting from the forest itself, Sceptile emerges. Sceptile, the blade of Hoenn's canopy. In his final form, Blaziken is combat distilled, overwhelming power, surgical precision. At the summit of a volcano, he trains speed and balance. He runs along the rim, leaps between sheer rock faces, and tests his body against relentless heat. He seeks out the strongest opponents to refine his technique. In battle, intense flames erupt from his wrists. The fiercer the opponent, the higher the fire climbs. Blaze Kick becomes his signature, a single incandescent arc capable of wounding even the most resilient foes. And yet, despite his strength, nearly unmatched, Blaziken does not forget those who once guided him. In the midst of a fierce duel, he sees Camerupt in danger. Rhydon charges. Blaziken alters his course, closes the distance, unleashes a rapid sequence of precise strikes, disarming the attacker and ending the confrontation. Afterward, a burning hand rests lightly upon his old companion. Few can stand against Blaziken, yet his heart remains calm. Now Swampert rules the wetlands. Where he reigns, the marsh steadily improves. He carries the burden of the floodplains upon his shoulders, quite literally. Arms hardened like stone, capable of shattering boulders with a single strike. It is common to see him hauling immense loads, redirecting river currents, or freeing ancient hulls stranded in the mud. In Hoenn's tradition, he is a symbol among fishermen, a guardian of the wetlands. Secure in his domain, he faces few true threats. Most of his time is devoted to repositioning colossal stones into strategic defenses. He senses storms before they arrive, subtle shifts in wind, minute changes in the sound of water. By the time danger approaches, his embankments are already in place, preventing his kingdom from flooding. In murky waters, Swampert has no rival. Speed and strength are unmatched on his own terrain. Even during migration seasons, giants from distant lands hesitate to challenge him at home. A marsh protected by Swampert will prosper until the day he is gone. Almost as if ordained by nature itself, the presence of Sceptile within a forest is living legend in Hoenn. The leaves upon his arms, now honed into blades, are capable of slicing through thick trunks. Even at the height of his strength, he remains devoted to training. A forest watched over by Sceptile and Shiftry prospers for years. Guardians who observe one another, test one another, and sharpen each other in silence. Sceptile's relentless training is instinctive. He understands that he is the forest's last line of defense. He sharpens his blades, gathers experience over a lifetime. He does not seek intruders, but if they come, he will be ready. Sceptile is the heart of the green. Upon his back, he carries nutrient-rich seeds capable of revitalizing aging trees and sustaining the balance of the habitat. It is as though his lineage does not merely inhabit the forest, but sustains it. Under his protection, and with Shiftry at his side, the green endures, and the forest stands for centuries. Sceptile is the forest itself. Hoenn did not craft its starters for beauty. It forged 3 responses to a single demand: survival and protection in an ever-changing world. The forest holds its sentinel. The mountain carries its fire. The coast stands behind its wall. Which Hoenn starter would you choose? Don't forget to like the video and hype it up. I'll see you next week.